the Trailer Island podcast. It's another Wednesday. I'm Alex. I'm joined by
Steve.
Matthew.
And we compare films and their trailers. Did the film deliver what the trailer promised? And we have got no story this week. It's all action-packed, CGI.
It's just fights.
Fight stuff.
Let them fight. Let them fight.
And I, for one, don't mind it.
I'm keen to get into this because it's I think this is a guilty pleasure movie.
Oh, yeah.
Just turn your brain off. A bit like listening to this podcast. Just turn your brain off and enjoy.
Let it wash over you.
I think that's
Watch three hairy men go at each other.
Oh, I have nothing to say.
I mean, fight with each other, yeah.
Okay.
That's really
not
thrown us
sure-
off the
I'm
track.
not sure where to
there.
go from there.
What are we doing? We do a
it's
podcast.
It's a lovely day on the island. The sun is shining. The beach is warm. The coconuts are singing.
Yes.
Days like this, I wish we lived on Skull Island because it seems like there's a little bit more to eat there.
Potentially.
But wouldn't we
Yes.
end up being eaten at some point?
I could take it.
You'd just shake it off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Maybe
okay.
like Jonah and the whale. I just live in the whale's belly the whole time.
Fair enough.
Okay, well, there's a reference for you. All right, so do we want to introduce this week? What's the film?
We are diving back into a Warner Brothers cinematic universe, and we are doing. Oh wait, which round is it? It's Kong versus Godzilla.
No,
Godzilla
No, that's
versus
the other way
Kong. I
around.
can't. Yeah, that
Yeah.
one.
This is our only chance. We have to take it. We need Kong. The world needs him. To stop what's coming. And this child. She's the only one he'll communicate with.
I knew that they had a bond. She had nowhere to go, so I made a promise to protect her. And I think that in some way, Kong did the same. It's Godzilla.
These are dangerous times.
Godzilla's out there and he's hurting people and we don't know why.
There's something provoking him that we're not seeing here.
I'm of the same opinion.
The myths are real. There was a war. And they're the last ones standing.
I keep reaching for greatness because I'm built from it.
Who bows to who?
Nobody gonna stop me. Here we go.
Kong bows to no one.
One of my favorite trailers is the trailer for Godzilla King of Monsters. And that's because it has a lot of charm. It's very beautifully shot.
Wonderful music.
Yeah.
From memory. Yeah.
Yep. That trailer loses all the charm of that previous trailer, I think.
This trailer is very much, Hulk smash kind of thing. Yeah.
Gave me hype. I was like, I want to see this movie.
It hypes up the fight really well. And look, I think we've established that this is film 4. This is film 4. So we're following on from Godzilla, Godzilla 2, King of the Monsters, and Kong Skull Island. I think that those 3 films have very expertly set up this movie. But I don't know that I felt the gravitas as heavily as I would have liked. There's some great moments in this, but I feel like I want to get into the payoff at some point without ruining. So we're not going to spoil this movie because it's a brand new film. But I think that trailer makes a big deal out of when they first meet on the aircraft carrier. In the film, I thought that absolutely delivered. But then, strangely enough, for two giant monsters fighting in a city, which we see in that trailer, in the movie, it didn't feel as epic, I think, as it could have.
I think, oddly, each one of these films has had their own unique flavor. So Godzilla had this wonderful, like, found footage sort of vibe to it.
Yep.
Kong Skull Island was this ode to 70s adventure movies. Godzilla King of Monsters was this homage to all of the old classic Godzilla monsters movies that are based in Japan. This one, I didn't get the unique vibe.
Would you say it was sort of like a smorgasbord dinner where you get all the food that you want, but all of it's just okay?
Yeah, less so maybe.
But at the same time, I wasn't expecting anything more than a giant CGI fight, and I felt like I got that.
And that's why I'm so conflicted. I agree with you. I definitely feel like I got everything that I was promised, but it just didn't feel as... Godzilla 2, I think we can all agree, is a phenomenal film. Great trailer. That trailer set the idea that it's going to have this emotional drive. And you watch the movie, and strangely for a film about giant CGI monsters, there's a very emotional center to that film, which is terrific. And this film still delivers that spectacle, but doesn't deliver on the emotional front for me.
Well, I think they tried to push it quite along with the little girl. She's deaf, and she communicates with Godzilla. Not Godzilla, with Kong. She's best mates with Kong, and Kong's like, hey, for whatever reason, I like you.
Yeah.
And the trailer spends a lot of time establishing that this little girl is the key to making Kong do things and stuff. And yeah, it kind of is, but then that's sort of maybe the first third of the film, and then all of that's just sort of forgotten.
Yeah.
So we should talk about the plot, what little plot there is of this movie. Godzilla and Kong, we know who they are. They're giant monsters, okay? I think that's well established. But in this movie, it's said that back in ancient times, these two super species had a bit of a fight, and Godzilla and Kong are the last two standing, and they meet again in present day, and they go at it and cause a lot of destruction. What annoyed me, though, is all this thing about them being the last ones, but whereas in Godzilla 2... there's a lot of time spent on introducing all these other monsters that bow down to Godzilla, which just disappear in this film. Where were they? They just don't factor into it.
The implication being that they've all been defeated. But I think it maybe stems a little bit into the production here because as of 2020, Godzilla rights have reverted back to the Japanese company that owns them.
Oh, really?
And so they technically can't make any more MonsterVerse movies now, and so they sort of had to cap it off with this film.
So is this the end?
There has been no official word yet.
Huh, interesting. I thought they had a good... don't get me wrong, I think this is a good movie. They've got a good thing going. It's a shame if they can't continue it.
I was just reading a little bit into Shin Godzilla, which was the last sort of Japanese-produced Godzilla film back in 2016. And a lot of the Japanese audience over there adore that film.
Right.
And they're waiting for a sequel, and they haven't been able to make a sequel to that because of this rights deal.
Oh, I see. Okay. It's all a bit messy. Yeah, okay.
Why can't they all just get along and just make movies for fun?
Like, this is a fun movie.
It's a very fun movie.
Yeah. Steve, you brought up an excellent point about the plot of this movie, and it's why I raised the idea of the thin plot. One of your favourite movies, favourite movie of the podcast, Batman vs. Superman. This movie's pretty similar to that.
I'd say it's structured similar to that.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah.
It is two objective heroes going at it, and then towards the end of the film, a villain just pops out of nowhere.
That unifies them, gives them a common enemy to fight.
I went to the theater to watch this with a group of friends, and we joked the whole time that the winner was going to be friendship, and we weren't disappointed. We weren't disappointed.
Yeah, it's the whole Superman Martha thing again. That's not a spoiler. Kong doesn't go, "Oh, my mum was called Martha," but it's similar.
I sort of hope that if this was the end of the series, they might sort of tie up a few more characters that we've been introduced to over the last 7 years.
Now
we might have got Aaron Taylor Johnson and Lizzie Olsen. Or Tom
I forgot that
Hiddleston
they were in these movies,
and they're great characters in the first Godzilla film. Unfortunately, the human characters, and that's my issue with, again, Godzilla 2 the human stories, for what you expect in a big CGI movie, the human stories I think are really good. You've got Billy Bobby Brown as the daughter of
Isn't it Millie Bobby Brown?
Millie Bobby? I don't know. Stranger Things
Millie,
girl.
yeah, Millie.
And her dad and their relationship, and I felt like that movie was really great just to see that family deal with this, incredible circumstance of all these monsters and everything. But then in this movie, she's back, her dad's back, but they don't really do anything.
It's so superfluous.
Yeah, and it's a shame because I thought there were great characters in Godzilla 2, and they just don't do anything in this.
I don't think they probably needed to be in this.
No, they didn't.
I'm glad they are. Like, it's good to see those characters again. I'm glad they haven't just disappeared. But also, by the same token, they're a bit useless.
Yeah.
I mean,
So useless.
yeah. In fact, most of the human characters are actually. Again, you're not there for the humans, but you've got to get that balance.
I think they were there to sort of get us to give us a reason to discover more of the things about the bad guys.
Yeah.
Or the objectively bad guys. I think his motivations aren't necessarily wrong. So the part of this is that there is the theory of the Middle Earth. What is it?
Hollow Earth.
The Hollow
The
Earth
Hollow
theory.
Earth, where these things have come from. Has that been
It has,
raised
yeah.
in other films? Has
Yeah.
it been visited in the other films?
No.
Well,
they've-
briefly in Godzilla 2, they do go through that vortex thing, don't? Although they go, is that the Hollow Earth, or they just go to Atlantis?
no, I think they're sort of like
Atlantis?
skirting. They're sort of skirting around Hollow Earth. there.
Yeah, they go to Atlantis in Godzilla 2.
It's when Ken Watanabe sort of
Has his moment.
has his moment with Godzilla.
Yeah. I love the Atlantis stuff. It was great.
I did too.
Yeah.
I watched that movie on a plane.
You need to watch it again, Alex.
Yeah,
I think
it's
you'll
really
watch it
good.
with proper sound. It's a really good film.
See, I watched that film on a plane, fell asleep, woke up on the island.
Oh,
Maybe we can
Okay.
I understand the
You
trauma.
truly
now.
are the king of monsters.
perhaps.
I think we touch on it a little bit there, I think, which is lacking in this film. And I think that is just the little sprinkles of lore throughout the Godzilla stuff. Like in King of Monsters, you get all these illusions. You actually get to see different monsters as well. You get to see this underwater city that's where Godzilla has made his resting house, and you get to see the little ships that crash there and all that sort of stuff.
Beautiful stuff.
You get to see the twin fairies, that are supposed to be alluding to the twin fairies in the old movies.
Exactly.
The music in King of Monsters was really like an absolute love letter to the music of those Japanese movies as well.
It was pretty spot on.
You didn't get that in this film.
Look, he does use the theme, but it's arranged differently. So this is Tom Holkenberg, who we talked about the Snyder Cut recently. He did the music for that as well.
Or he's better known as Junkie XL.
Junkie XL, Mad Max Fury Road, same guy. And so he's taken that wonderful traditional Godzilla theme and he's put his own touch on it, which ordinarily I think would be really good. But I loved the treatment they gave it in Godzilla 2, which was more traditional.
McCreary's, yeah.
Yeah, it just felt right. Whereas this one is a lot more. It's modernized.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it works modernized.
I really liked this, the music in this. I found it quite engaging, but I felt like also it was perhaps overused, overpowering.
It was very loud.
It was
soundtrack.
perhaps used in replacement of maybe to distract you from. Don't worry about this plot point. It's fine. It's fine. Like in this, they visit Hollow Earth.
Yeah, which is really cool.
Which I think is beautiful.
Yeah.
It looks fantastic. How they get there, it's like, okay, yep, cool, no worries, that's all pretty cool. I don't know why Kong has to lead them there because they knew where it was, but like, why is he
Instincts.
Because it sounds like they kind of just get there without him anyway.
Well, they need, I guess, when you find out eventually they needed Kong to do something down there, which leads to the thing, and then they're able to get out just by like
Which reminds me,
normal
actually,
ways. They just sort of fly out of.
talking of plot points, the daughter of our objective villain, who is just playing a basic nasty person.
Yeah.
As soon as she becomes used to the plot, they just decide, cool, you're done. We'll just do away with her. I was like, why was she even in the movie?
Again, that's another thing. We as much as I don't like to do it, we are going to sort of compare to King of Monsters here. I thought the background cast in King of Monsters was a lot more charismatic, a lot more likable.
They had Charles Dance.
They had Charles Dance.
Why is he not in this movie?
They had Brad Whitmore. They had David Strathairn.
That's true. Actually, his character has disappeared. He should have been in this film.
Yeah.
She was just sort of like just mean for the sake of being mean. Like, you don't need to be that way. Like, if she was played in a way that was charismatic, like, yeah, we're going to help each other, we're going to do this, and then it gets flipped and you go, naughty, that's not right. Rather than she's bad from the get-go, you're like, okay, she's a mole.
As much as like Vera Farmiga in the second film was the villain, we got some motivation from her. We got some wonderful character work there.
There
wasn't even a conversation about her trying to impress her father.
Yeah.
She was just annoying. It was kind of dumb.
I agree. Vera in that second Godzilla 2 is you kind of feel for her a little bit. Yeah, no, she makes some horrible decisions and you hate her for it, but you kind of go, no, she's doing this to try and help.
It's well fleshed out.
It is. It's a well-written character, and it has consequences. It has, as much as you can in a movie like this, logical character action. Whereas in this film, people do stuff like you say, Alex, like following Kong. They just going, well, we just need to get them to this place. Let's just try and do it quickly and brush over it. There's no, But then at the same time, I was thinking about this watching it. Do I care? This is a movie about two giant monsters just having an absolute, what's the word, rage cage fight.
Yeah.
Like so many buildings get destroyed, and there's you never once think about all the people in the buildings. That's not the point.
Yeah, they're like, they're talking about, Godzilla was a hero to people that he saved. It was like, well, the people that he probably stepped on don't feel the same way.
A lot of destruction.
I thought this movie was more based in the perspective of King Kong.
Yes.
Yeah, I feel like it could have been a more interesting film if it was based on the perspective of Godzilla.
But we've had Godzilla's perspective for two other films.
But Godzilla as a character is now facing new challenges.
I know. Well, the first film wasn't his perspective, was it?
No, that was very much humans.
Yeah.
We're assuming it's a him.
They call him King, so I'm assuming it's a he.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
But I mean, if we followed Godzilla through this film, it's Godzilla. He feels like there's not just an old threat in King Kong sort of re-emerging to take his crown, but he's also sensing that there's this other threat in the darkness sort of coming for him.
Oh, now
as well.
that reminds me of something that really, really annoyed me, and it's hard to talk. I won't give away the ending, but at the beginning of this movie, we get the sense that Godzilla is searching for something. Mm-hmm. Now, the thing he's searching for, shall we say, doesn't have a presence or a consciousness. Mm-hmm. So how does he know what has someone said, hey, these people are messing around with something, you need to stop them. Like, how does he know?
I think he's sensing it as a power source.
Maybe.
He's going, oh, hang on, what's going on here? Because there's a whole thing about them living on nuclear radiation, blah, 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 blah.
Well, maybe that's it.
Just a quick question. In the Hollow Earth, when we visit that, what's the light source?
I was thinking this
Imagination.
Imagination?
The power of love.
Like, is it the core is like, firing away and that's providing sunlight, but like...
I guess it's the core.
Are we not worried about that? Are we just going to roll with it?
We're all going to die.
Again, the reason comes down to because it's a movie about two giant monsters fighting.
Yeah.
Like you have to suspend your disbelief a little bit. I did like when in the Hollow Earth, the parallel planes, if you want to call it that, and you have mountain peaks that almost touch each other. That was really cool.
Yeah.
And you can jump from one to the other. I'm still, like you say, they definitely brushed over the whole why it was difficult to get there. Like, they kind of just go, there's some gravitational stuff that might throw you around a bit, but once they're there, it's kind of like, was it that hard? I don't know. If that was
the special vehicles designed by the villain.
That's it. Like, why did they need the special vehicles?
Apparently they did.
Yeah,
because his brother died doing it.
That's what they tell us.
That's what they tell us.
Yeah.
Well, we're in anyway. Let's just keep plodding.
Look, monsters.
What I will say is that the run time is a lot more consumable. That 2 hours, a solid 2 hours.
I actually wanted it to be longer.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong, you do get your money's worth here. That unlike that first Godzilla film, which is very much from the human's point of view, you get a lot of monster fight here. You get what you go in to see this film for. But I kind of think the end was a little rushed, maybe.
Just want to asterisk that and just say to our dear viewers, Matt's now watched Justice League Snyder Cut about 5 times. So he's very much in for the long form entertainment.
Yeah. Look, I mean, he released a black and white version, so I had to watch that.
God.
And then I had to watch the color version afterwards to supplement the black and white version. And yeah, I've seen it 5 times now.
Oh dear. I watched this in a smaller cinema. Mm-hmm. Like, it was an older cinema on the island. We got so many big cinemas now with the big flashy things, and I went to an older cinema, no reclining seats, which seems to be so common these days. And I was like, oh man, and I ended up being like really comfortable and I didn't mind it being on a smaller screen. The sound was still amazing.
Yeah.
and I was drawn in by this film. I was sucked in. I was engaged. It didn't try to confuse me at any point. And at no point, it wasn't until afterwards I started, questioning things. I was like, well, hang on, what about this and this? But because I realized at the time I didn't care.
And that's probably a good thing. Yeah.
And whether that was their intention to go, just don't worry about these things. I was, found myself laughing at a few points and quite engaged. And I really like Kong as a character because I haven't seen Skull Island.
Yeah,
Skull Island is great.
Yeah, you should watch that.
So seeing him for the first time here, like the very opening, the first 2 minutes, he's sort of like walking around, scratching himself. And I'm like, man, this is funny. I can relate to this guy. I enjoyed his character. And, when he's sad and you're like, I feel sad for him. And then...
You do care about, maybe not so much Godzilla, but they did Kong well in this, I think. Yeah, like you say, you're very much... aware of what he's feeling. He has moments where he's a bit sad when he's in captivity. That was cool.
They move a lot quicker than I thought they would.
Yeah.
Particularly in that last fight. They are moving around that city.
Yeah.
Is it Hong Kong where they are?
Yes.
Yeah. And they're just, that place is wiped off the map. That's a construction site.
Again, not to make another Zack Snyder reference, but it did remind me a bit of the end of Man of Steel when they completely level Metropolis, but don't really address all the devastation that's been caused.
As opposed to that, though, the legacy of the Godzilla films is that Godzilla is a city destroyer.
That's true.
He's meant to do that, and he does do that. I think in the last film, Boston is basically just melted off the map.
So how do humans move forward after this? Not that the film gives us the answer, but
Godzilla 2 kind of addresses that a little bit.
We're his pets.
Yeah, which is why I was a little annoyed that from Godzilla 2 to this movie, they didn't continue that examination, because I thought it was interesting. It's a bit like the new Jurassic Park film that's coming out next year. Obviously, the dinosaurs are out in the real world, and the film's going to address what that's going to be like. I thought this film could have done a little more with how humans have adapted to coexist, because that's what Godzilla 2 is about. Is saying we have to coexist with these they're back. We got to coexist with them, and then this film doesn't really address it. There's maybe one character who's taken things into, which I still think should have been Charles Dance, should have come back. That our villain character does sort of pontificate about what we can do as a species to move forward to protect ourselves.
And his motivations are kind of understandable too. But a guy's a villain when he puts a jacket on without his arms in the sleeves. Yeah, he's just.
Oh, yeah, like a mafia boss. Yeah,
yeah. He puts his jacket on, but he doesn't have his arms in the sleeves. It's like, well, what's the point? Just wear a cape. Mate, just go full villain. Wear a cape. But why have sleeves on a jacket if you're not going to use them? It just looks dumb. That's my main problem with this movie. I'm glad that we've got onto this, because these are the real issues with this movie.
I wanted to ask about Kong. I'm hoping someone motion captured Kong again, like they did in Skull Island.
Was he motion capturing Skull Island?
He was motion captured by, I think, the same guy who played Dr. Doom and Van Forstick.
Yeah. Right, I haven't seen that, but okay.
I'm not sure if that happened in this film as well, but I did want to talk about just how good the medium close-up shots on Godzilla and Kong were. Very, very emotive, very, very almost human-like on Godzilla in particular.
Yeah, there's that really nice close up that you get of Godzilla's face at one point, where it's full frame. You're just like, man, that guy is angry. Yeah, and it's so detailed, and they must have spent a long time on that shot. We are not here to complain about the CGI.
Oh god, no, it looks incredible. They've done a very good job.
It is a masterclass in giant monsters and landscapes. It is very cool.
It looks so good that I didn't mind that at one point both of them stand on an aircraft carrier, which there's no way that would happen.
No.
But you look at it, it's so impressive. You go, you know what? I'm along for the ride. That is awesome. I don't even care that ship should be absolutely falling apart right now. It looks good. There are some cool moments, or shall we say, hero moments, for want of a better phrase, where you just have, a wide frame of these two characters in position. You go, that's awesome. That's like a poster. I was annoyed that we didn't get another sort of slow build up of Godzilla's atomic breath. That's always a great thing to just pull out. Here he uses his atomic breath, but you don't get the panning shot along his tail as he revs up. Because it sounds so cool, and I kind of wish that they had at least one moment where he had. Oh, by the way, Godzilla literally bores into the center of the earth.
I thought that was so ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, why hasn't he done that before?
I laughed the entire time, and he does that just to get the King Kong.
Yeah, so he literally... he doesn't stop. It's a continuous blast, and he just bores straight through the crust of the planet.
It's a...
It's one of those stupid fun movies that you just have. I thought it was cool.
It epitomizes the silliness of this film.
Yeah, it was stupid, but it was cool.
That's a couple of 100 kilometers. And King Kong's up there in like a couple of minutes. Like,
Yeah, it doesn't take him
What
long.
about all the magma?
Yeah, or have we disrupted the rotation of the planet?
Or is
by
there a
doing
gravity thing that's going on there?
Yeah.
And,
But my other question would be, why hasn't Kong done this before? If it's so easy to get there and destroy these other monsters, I don't know.
This is a film where they decide to bring an 8-year-old girl along on the entire time.
Yeah, who somehow makes it through. I think the most time she's ever in danger is when a ship capsizes and she nearly drowns. That's the most danger she's ever in. Not from the monsters, just from water.
Humankind's natural predator, water.
Hey, we're surrounded by it here. We should be... I was actually a little traumatized by that.
All right, what are we going to give this out of 5? 5 watts.
Atomic axes?
Oh, yeah.
That was cool. I like that axe.
Yeah, it was cool, yeah.
Also
that's
silly.
cool.
Very silly, yes.
All right, atomic axes. 5 out of 5 atomic axes. Matthew, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure, certainly. I was pretty keen for this movie. The trailer, though it doesn't have that wonderful poetry, for not to sound too arrogant, that Godzilla 2 trailer has. If you haven't seen the Godzilla 2 trailer, you should watch it. It's a great trailer. Yes, that music is used so well. This trailer instead just went for aggressive, loud noises. And to be fair, that is exactly what the movie is. Like, it does sell it. I wasn't disappointed. I knew what I was going to get. Look, the human story is non-existent. Bit of a shame considering how much I like the human characters in Godzilla 2. However, the monster stuff is just spot on, really. I mean, you can't complain. Godzilla and Kong look amazing. Their fights are really cool. I wish it was a bit longer. I wish there was a little more of an emotional drive at the center, but I kind of got what I was kind of, advertised. So I'm going to give it a 4.
4. Wow.
Yeah, I enjoyed it.
Well, let me surprise you, Steve, because I'm going to give it a 4 too.
Hot damn.
Because I was just like, man, I'm not here for the story. I literally switched my brain off for 2 hours. And that's all I needed to do. It's not getting a 5 because it is a bit dumb. It's not the best monster film that I've ever seen, but it was incredibly impressive. The fights were cool, the music was cool, the CGI was superb. Characters do some dumb things, and there were just some silly things that in the writing that the humans did.
Yeah.
I was just like, that's just lazy writing. So that's...
Oh, actually, if I can interject, just before we get to you, Steve, speaking of 3 guys who were doing a podcast, was any of you triggered by the guy who was doing the conspiracy podcast at the beginning?
No, I related to that.
You related to that? Yeah, I just thought I'd ask.
I was like, podcasts are cool because they're in the movie.
Yeah, we've been validated.
For me, I'm going to give it a 2.5. I did it. I enjoyed it. I really did. I really enjoyed it. But the writing for the humans was just deplorable, and really, really lacked the great cast of supporting likable characters. We had everyone on that Monarch jet last movie that was just fun to watch.
What happened to the Monarch jet?
Don't know.
It's still around, isn't it? After Godzilla 2.
Don't know.
Yeah. See, that's my point. Is they ignore stuff they set up in that previous movie.
It sort of wastes opportunities to really just take its time on some things. Like the last movie, it let shots breathe. There was this great 5-minute shot where you get to see King Ghidorah on top of a volcano, and you've got this Christian cross in front of the shot as well, and it's just set up really well. I think a lot of that beautiful cinematography is present in this film, but not as prevalent as the last film. I think Kyle Chandler and Millie Bobby Brown are either wasted or just superfluous in this film. Mr. Skarsgård, I forget which one it is, he is there, and so is Rebecca Hall, and both of those actors are terrific actors that need to be used more. And I thought the soundtrack to this is pretty forgettable.
Yeah, I would suggest it's not a fairly memorable movie. Godzilla 2 stays with you, this one not so much.
It wasn't really definition between tracks, was there? It was sort of just a wall of noise the entire time.
Yeah.
I was watching this going, because I probably will get it on Blu-ray to watch it again. It's like, oh, my neighbors are going to love this. It's so loud. It's a loud movie. It's 2 hours of noise.
Did you say 2.5?
This is 2.
Oh, 2. I thought you
This
said
is
2.5.
This is 2 hours?
No, your rating.
Your rating.
Oh, 2.5, yeah.
Okay.
10.5.
Actually, no. I'm sorry. I'm actually gonna. Look. I'm just thinking about how I reacted to Godzilla 2, and that movie really blew my socks off as just how good it was. I'm gonna go down to a 3.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go down to a 3 on this, only because if I had the choice of watching, again, these are part of the same franchise. I feel like we're allowed to compare them. If I had the choice of watching either this or Godzilla 2 King of the Monsters, I would always pick King of the Monsters.
So anyway, we've been in the Trailer Island podcast. Well, it went from 10.5 to 9.5.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, look, you're allowed to have your opinion.
Yeah,
I'm
it can
just
be
saying
wrong.
That,
It's
you know,
okay.
it's fine. Just don't forget consequences can come of your actions. That's fine. We've been the Trailer Island podcast, and that was Godzilla versus Kong. Potentially the last film in this.
Potentially, yeah.
In this series.
I hope not. I'd like more.
Yeah, me too.
Where would they go next? What would they do?
Oh, there's so many more cities they can destroy.
There's
in
a lot
space.
more Godzilla monsters for them to fight.
Are they still around?
I'm sure they could make more.
Okay. Well, maybe they should.
Yeah.
I think the Muto was an original creature for the first film, so
Okay.
what of that?
All right, cool. Well, look, hey, we've been the Trailer Island podcast. You can find us every Wednesday with a new episode. And there's a bunch of episodes that you can listen to as well. Let your friends know. Leave us a 5-star rating if you can find us wherever you are. Just give it to us there. Apple,
Yeah, please,
Google,
yeah.
Amazon, Spotify, the whole lot. Tell your friends as well. Anything else to add, gentlemen?
Please don't abandon us.
You deserve so much better, Kyle Chandler.
I think, yeah. Go watch this movie in the cinema. The sound was good. Would be what I would wrap up on. The sound was pretty cool.
Very good. All right, well, yes, we've been the Trailer Island podcast. I've been Alex. I've been joined by...
Matthew.
Steven Skarsgård.
Do you think about these for very long or just come to you?
I don't think about anything for very long.
Perfect. Good night, everybody. Oh, my God.
This is a Narrative Network podcast.